Hello, Jerry. Thank you so much for joining my online webinar about building the mental fitness to thrive. And you, as a known coach and trainer into mental resilience, thank you for being here. And I hope we have a very good conversation about these topics.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for inviting me, Maryana. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. It's an honor. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So as we start forward with our conversation, one of my first questions would be, you as a leaders builder, especially in helping leaders to thrive and achieve mental resilience, but mostly now a bit on the mental health. How often you foresee crisis when the support is not achieved? From coaching perspective, why is it so much more effective to train the mental muscle of resilience before any storm, stress, or mental issue hits?
That's a really good question to start the podcast, because normally in such situations, people come for help or to build their muscles once it's already too late. Unless there's a crisis, unless there's a problem, people normally don't come for help. And as your app with the elephAi is about training it before the bad stuff happens, so that you have the resistance to overcome it and the resilience for it. So it's a really good question. So it happens quite often, to answer your question, and people normally come when it's very late in the process. Of course, we work through it, and you can still build your muscles. It's never too late. But one thing that I have seen throughout the world, not just in Germany or in Europe, also in America, is that people use it as a source of medication instead of prevention.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's very well stated, because that's why the purpose of elephAi, to prevent before any distress and help monitor and help provide the right necessary recommendation and information and support when needed. So now moving a bit more into a topic of motherhood. I know you're not specialized on that, but you're a very good coach as in mindfulness and mental resilience. How do you see and how do you coach people in order to move from feeling overwhelmed to feeling more empowered in their new identity?
That's a good question as well. I'm not a woman, but I am the son of one, the husband of one, and the brother of one. So I am surrounded by women, and I grew up around women. So I have an understanding, and I can tell you that is like what everybody says about equality. We're all equal on that aspect. We all have those situations where we are overwhelmed with things, especially something like motherhood. I can tell you a personal experience when we first had our child. My wife and we came home from the hospital, and we had the baby in the bed, and we looked at each other, and we said to each other, "What do we do now?" So, so as a parent, as a first-time parent, many people don't even ask the question. Many people go on pretending that they know what they're doing to keep the facade that everything is okay, and deep down they are just crumbling inside, and they don't have anyone to talk to. And that's when, and going to mental fitness, and we're using this topic specifically, but it can also be for work, could be for relationships, could be for anything that causes stress. That is that we start hearing a voice in our heads that we think is our voice. We have that voice saying that we're not good enough, we're not doing things right. John, the neighbor, is doing so much better than we are, and we have this voice telling us so many negative things. I'm doing a startup, it might not work, or So we have that voice, and 90% of the people don't understand that voice is not you yourself, but as a safety mechanism. Back in the day, when you saw something moving in the forest, if you thought it was a koala and you wanted to hug it versus a tiger behind that tree, only one of those thoughts kept you safe. So thinking that it's always a tiger is less work intensive for the brain. So let's always think that there's a tiger, and then we're always safe. The same thing is with parenthood and motherhood. That is that we think that we need to form a specific new identity and live up to that identity that we think in our heads without even checking and being compassionate to ourselves. And having a child, first one, I can only talk about the first one because I don't have any more. But having a child, just you're a parent, you have a new identity, and it's so overwhelming. And if you're not prepared for it, you haven't done your mental resilience, your mental exercises so that you can overcome those challenges, you're going to have a much harder time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience. Also, very appreciated. You mentioned this safety creation, and you as also corporate coach and individual coach. How do you see bringing your experience from work? Also, how do you see creating this safety to motherhood? To your wife also, and to the environment you live, because you as a husband, you have also that feeling of responsibility. Oh, I have now a child, how do I make myself resilient also for her? So how did you brought that experience into your own personal life to
Well,
create this?
well, yeah. Well, to make it more general and applicable for everybody, at least for us, when we became a parent, one of the biggest fears is I'm not a good parent, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough. And again, is that voice, a negative voice that we call it the saboteur, always trying to sabotage us, trying to push us over the limit so that we can perform to this idealistic self that we have. Um, to answer your question, um, the number one thing is about being empathetic about yourself, knowing that you don't have all the answers and that nobody does. I think, Maryana, empathy is so underappreciated and underused. It's all about pushing yourself to the limit and keeping up with the Kardashians, as we say in America. And we're not compassionate enough to know that we're humans, to know that we are work on improvement. We are improving every day. We're not finished. We're always improving and growing. Right? Comes down to the growth mindset, where we're always thinking that there's an opportunity to learn and to become better. Compassionate about yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this also insight, so important, and responding very detailed to my question. I also see how it's also impacted on how you can grow even your child very safely and with compassion and kindness, which are values that very matter in our society. Another question I know, Jeury, because you're very, you helping a lot of people to increase their overall mental resilience and also overall energy. Do you think you can go back on time when you were still a father of a small baby? How you manage your sleep patterns? How did you manage not having enough sleep or sleep deprivation? Did you have any techniques or 2 minutes nervous system regulation? Can you share about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm a light sleeper, and my wife is a heavy sleeper. So I wake up with just any noise, especially the noise of a child will wake you up, and it's just a parenting thing. You're like, oh, okay, vigilant mode, right? For the sleeping patterns, we did a lot of the positive intelligence, mental fitness exercises
Mhm.
prior to the birth. So we actually did a full training on regulating our nervous system and also being able to use the exercises as frequently as possible, which I believe that your app also elephAi also provides that, right? So that you can
Yes.
continuously, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
this is so important. It's so important that when you don't need it, you're doing the exercises. Um, and if you don't have access to an app, you can also do exercises where you feel the weight of your body on the chair. You concentrate on that feeling, breathing in the the uh, the temperature of the air coming in, coming out, visual, focusing on one thing so that you can actually train your brain so you can command it later during those stressful situations. That is what we did. And then the second thing for the sleeping patterns, everybody's different. But as a parent, you have to have the possibility, and here comes with empathy and acceptance, that it is okay to rest. Many parents, they feel that they need to be there for their child 24/7 and they don't get to rest.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's because of this saboteur voice that they have, that you must do this, you must do this in order to be a good parent. No, you also need to take your chance to sleep, to go away, to go for a walk, and so on. So in my particular setting, we took turns. So I made sure that my wife would get her sleep, and that I will also get my sleep. I also stayed at home as a dad. Um, I went part time so I could spend a lot of time with my daughter for the first 3 years of her life, and I could also support my wife. So if someone has the support of someone else, take it. And also now you have the support of your app, elephAi. Any support that you can get to strengthen your mind and to get your sleep taken care of, please take it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's totally correct. And thank you for enhancing so many times how much sleep is important, and also the purpose of our app, elephAi, which actually is the support of the AI assistant to help you the right information, the 3 a.m. support, the community, the right information that you need as a growing parent, and also before, during, and after pregnancy, and also professionals as a SOS that can support you. Thank you so much for enhancing that. And considering this level of our conversation, there is another point which I want to ask you as part as you as a coach leader, in terms of how inner communication is important. Uh, all of this also important of your self-care, if you and mental resilience, right? So if you care about yourself, you care about your whole environment of your mental well-being, of your inner communication, you care about not only you, the closest people that are in your environment, and also your generations, so your baby, or maybe even future generations. How do you try to bring that your experience also into your life of providing this inner communication with yourself and your environment, which you are?
Yeah. So, um, do what you preach, as we say, right? So it is important to recognize. For example, we have the three step, right? In my coachings is intercept the saboteur, which means notice that this voice in your head is trying to spiral you into stress.
Mhm.
Notice it, and then do some exercises to command that voice to quiet down, and then move into your wisdom side, which we call the sage stage, which is how would I react in the situation in my higher self, but after I have calmed down that voice. So we have those three steps. So whenever I am in a stressful situation, parenting, um, as parents, sometimes we have to work, especially now after Corona. we are trying to do something for work, and then our child needs our attention. We're trying to separate ourselves and give our attention to our child and finish the email or finish whatever we have to do. In most cases, we get upset because we're being interrupted, and I cannot finish the email, as well as I am not a good parent because I'm not giving my child
Mhm.
the attention. So that stress comes up. So there we go. The three steps is okay. So now I am shaming myself. I'm feeling guilty and I'm feeling like I'm not a good father or not a good professional. And then go into the exercises that, like I told you, like breathing, and even two
Very
seconds, even
important.
2 seconds, yeah, even 2 seconds, right? And then what I would say is, what would my higher self do? My daughter needs my attention right now. Maybe she's hungry or she needs something. Let me give her the attention to show her that she's the most important thing in my life. This email can wait another 10 minutes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Without that, the person normally goes into frustration and ends up being angry at the child and writing a really bad email.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so that's how I use it in my daily life. I'm human as well, so it's work in practice.
Yeah, thank you for sharing a lot. We are also enhancing that in our app, that breathing exercises are really important. And we have a setup for 5 minutes breathing or 10 minutes breathing. But even as you mentioned, 2 seconds, you can just breathe for 4 breaths in and 6 out. Exhale helps a lot just to release a bit of stress and calm yourself down, and be on a state of stillness, and responding to those two goals, email and daughter, in the correct way. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is why I'm a real fan of what you are doing, honestly. We spoke about this off air, and I've been telling you this for a while. I'm really a fan of what you're doing because um, you are doing something that people really need. We take it for granted, like, oh, I don't have time to do these exercises.
Mhm.
But if
Mhm.
doctors who are operating 16 hours, they do these exercises, so can we. We can find 2 seconds, we can find 30 seconds to do these exercises. And I
Mhm.
love the fact that you have this reminder in the app that tells you, hey, it's time to do some exercises, because sometimes people just forget because they are in the daily routines. And I love that about your app. So it's really cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting. And even doctors, they are also mothers and parents. They need that help. Okay, our podcast almost ending. Thank you so much. I would like to ask you just about something more visionary and impactful in our society,
Mhm.
because we believe, me and you, and also a lot of our followers believe, that protecting our nervous system, especially now on this purpose of motherhood, safeguards next generations. You, as a leader and a parent, prioritizing all this mental fitness as much as also physical fitness, how would you transform our society by 2030?
I think that we all need to collectively work together on our future and what we are teaching our kids. Our kids do not listen to what we say, they listen to what we do. And if we are frantic, if we are yelling, if we are uh, doing negative things like that can excite the child negatively or stress the child negatively, that is going to stay in their brains like just like a hard drive. And the cycle will continue. And then that cycle, what it does is that it keeps you so much under stress that you need to take control of everything so that you can be in control. And doing this is, I believe, in my opinion, why we have so much war, why we have so much depression, lack of compassion, lack of empathy, because we are constantly in this stress mode. And I believe that we all need to come together and see, hey, we haven't figured it out being stressed out. So let's try something different.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that is my vision for 2030, that we all need to wake up and actually see that this stress and this wanting to control because of fear, because everything is based from fear of
Mhm.
survival.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's like when we go shopping, we feel better. We feel better because we have more things. And the more things we have, the more secure we feel. It's all about security and erasing the fear. So we need to come collectively and actually work on that together.
Totally agree. Thank you so much. That's why also our community is called a safe space community of elephAi, in order for you to feel safe to share your experience and feel empowered. And I'm totally agree with your message. Last question. What would you recommend to our listeners? What would be the first step they could already start doing in order to build this mental resilience, to be a bit less in fear, less self-sabotage, and be more empowered and stronger?
Well, it's actually two steps, if it's okay with you. The first one is to first understand that it's okay not to be perfect and not to have it all figured out. We're all figuring it out. I have trained leaders, executives. I have trained hundreds of people at top levels, and I can tell you, they don't have it figured out. They're going day by day and doing the best that they can. So if these elite people don't have it figured out, why should we have it figured out? So we have to first be compassionate. And every time we push ourselves, we have the saboteur pushing us, this judge saying, you're not good enough, you got to do more, to catch it and say, hey, slow down. I am a work in progress human being, and I'm going to do the best that I can. That's the first one. And the second step is to do the exercises that we talked about for the mental fitness. Because when we talk about mental fitness, we're talking about, it's like training a muscle. So you cannot lift 500 kilos if you've never trained for it, or run a marathon if you've never done it. So you have to train it. And the same thing goes for the brain dealing with stress. So that will be the second step. And they can do exercises at home by themselves. They can also ask in your community, I'm sure of, and also use the app as well. So everything is there. Only they just have to push one button to get started.
Indeed. Couldn't agree anymore. That's very well recommended. Thank you so much, Jeury. And that's it for today. It was a pleasure having you on this online webinar. More conversations will come. You are very experienced in what you are preaching here and recommending. Thank you so much, and also for supporting the elephAi app.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and whatever you need, I'll be there for you guys. I love what you guys are doing.
Okay, thank you.